November 6th, 2018. At this time, if you'd all please rise, we'd like to invite Pastor Rusty Akers to come on up from the Community of Hope Church. He'll be offering our invocation this evening, and thank you, Pastor Rusty. We appreciate it. After which, I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Make sure you touch that green button.
Father God, we just want to thank you tonight for the freedom we have, God, together, for the freedom we have in this country to elect leaders, Father. We also just want to focus on those that are across the seas tonight, God, standing on the wall for that freedom. We know that freedom is never free. It always comes with a price, God. Thank you for the brave men and women who protect us and who fight for our freedoms. We just ask all of this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. You may be seated. I'd like to move to a roll call, please.
Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here. Excellent. Okay, I think we are going to do a couple of proclamations. The first one is a proclamation for Veterans Day, and I think we have some special guests here today. So we're going to start with an awesome rendition on the bagpipes. Well, as you know, Veterans Day is fast approaching, and a lot going on in the world, and we're very thankful for all those who have served our country so honorably. Whereas the willingness of America's veterans to serve our country has earned them our lasting gratitude, and whereas Veterans Day continues to be celebrated and commemorated with solemn observances in honor of all Americans who have served their country in times of war and conflict, and whereas Veterans Day has become a significant part of our American heritage as we recognize the millions of our citizens whose military service has had a profound effect on history, and whereas throughout the generations, their sacrifices have preserved our unique form of government dedicated to human rights and respect for the individual, whereas in honor of these dedicated men and women, we pledge continued defense of our nation so that their sacrifice will stand before the entire world as a tribute to the spirit and determination of people dedicated to the principles of freedom and democracy. And whereas the courage, honor, sacrifice, and dedication with which veterans of the United States Armed Forces have displayed in the cause of justice, freedom, and democracy are most worthy of recognition. Now, therefore, I, Christian Price, Mayor of the City of Maricopa, do hereby recognize November 11th, 2018 as Veterans Day in the City of Maricopa, and urge all citizens to recognize the valor and the sacrifice of our veterans and to remember that freedom is not free, and that these are the men and women who paid for the freedom all of us enjoy today. Thank you very much. I don't know about you, but I can listen to bagpipes all day long. So we have another proclamation this evening, and it's for the STEAM Foundation. So would STEAM come on up? All those participating in STEAM this evening should come forward here. Thank you for being here. Come right over here. We have a lot of folks participating. We're thankful that you're here. We appreciate it. So whereas science, technology, engineering, art, and math, or STEAM, education is fundamental in the success of our future workforce and has become a vital aspect of our community's future economic competitiveness and growth. Whereas on Maricopa STEAM Day, the Maricopa Action STEAM Foundation, Maricopa Unified School District, City of Maricopa, Legacy, Leading Edge, Sequoia Pathway Schools, Central Arizona College, and community and business partners will join together to celebrate STEAM and recognize its progress within the city and benefits to our students. Whereas Maricopa's 2040 STEAM-related vision goal of cultivating a climate-rich educational opportunities at all levels which support economic growth drives the city to be a center for manufacturing, construction, logistics, technology, finance, healthcare, and communication resources. The technology industry has a statewide economic impact of more than $43.1 billion, accounting for nearly 33% of the state's entire economy. Whereas by the year 2024, nearly 1 million technology jobs are projected to exist in the state of Arizona. Fostering student interest in STEAM careers will strengthen Maricopa's leadership position in technology and innovation. Whereas students, teachers, companies, universities, business, and civic leaders will participate in STEAM activities such as informational displays, exhibits, interactive hands-on projects, and more that will engage and excite students about STEAM learning. Now therefore, I, Christian Price, Mayor of the City of Maricopa, do hereby proclaim that November 8, 2018 as Maricopa STEAM Day and encourage our citizens to celebrate STEAM education specifically in the amphitheater at the Ultrastar from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. in order to engage our youth and claim our great city's position as a leader in STEM initiatives. Thank you very much for your work in doing this. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Appreciate all your participation here this evening. That'll take us to item 4, which is the report from the mayor. This time I'm going to turn just a minute or two over to Vice Mayor Peg Chapados as an announcement.
Thanks, Mayor. I'd like to announce the 6th annual Ride for a Toy coming up on Saturday, December 8th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Copper Sky, the east side parking lot. That's the one across from Copper Sky Police Substation by the playground. Come, bring a brand new unwrapped toy, get a ride on a fire truck. You'll be able to talk to some of our firefighters and medical people. Sparky will probably be there. It's a great way to kick off the holiday season and give back to others. So again, Saturday, December 8th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Ride for a Toy. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Appreciate it. I think one of the announcements that we failed to mention earlier was the Veterans Day Parade. And Councilwoman Gussie, would you go ahead and take that one?
Yes, the second annual Veterans Day Parade will be held this Saturday, the 10th, correct?
Right.
You said Saturday, the 8th.
December.
December, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I was paying attention. But December, I'm sorry, now it's
November.
November 10th. The parade will start. The parade route will start at 9 a.m. from Central Arizona College and will lead through Leading Edge. And we're very excited to have the second annual, and we hope that the community shows for that event. Thank you.
And is there a time in which you encourage people to be there in order to get, because the road is closing, so maybe be there by 8:15, 8:30, something like that?
Yes, absolutely. And every veteran is invited for a luncheon afterward that'll end where the parade route ends, which is at Leading Edge Academy at 11 o'clock.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So obviously you heard, if you were here earlier, there's a lot of stuff going on. Council's been very, very busy being at a gazillion different events. And so now it's my turn to talk a little bit about, I don't want to kind of echo everything, but I was able to participate in some of the things the council members were able to do and some other things as well. After the State of the City address, and I guess I'll talk about that one first, had a wonderful State of the City address. Really appreciate all those who were able to come and be here, participate. It was a wonderful event, and our sponsors were the ones that made it happen. People often ask me, why is the State of the City important? I always describe it like trying to get your kids to eat their vegetables and they actually like, and then they'll eat it and they don't know they're eating healthy. That's a good thing. And so it's kind of the same way. If you come, you have a good time, you learn about the city, you know what's going on, you leave having had a good time, and at the same time you learn something along the way. So this year was a lot of fun. I think I got to check something off my bucket list by driving a DeLorean, so that was always fun. But the 3 weeks of riding it prior to was not so much fun. So it's a good time, but it's a lot of sacrifice at the same time. So many thanks to our sponsors, many thanks to all of you and to the city staff who literally transformed the council chambers into a time machine, and we had a good time. After that, as though it would feel like it's time to settle down and to take things slowly, I got to get in the car and drive 5 hours north to Lake Havasu City, where the Rural Transportation Summit was going on. This was also coupled with the State Transportation Board's ADOT meeting, and so I was up there for the Transportation Summit and then participated in the ADOT meeting. For some reason, the theme was also Back to the Future of the ADOT board meeting, go figure. And I was the only one who dressed up and then addressed the State Transportation Board. I can't figure out why, but I just had the costume for it. And nothing like standing out as Maricopa as the only guy that looks the part, right? So I had to have words with everybody because I was a little out of place, but it was good. Then also had the chance to represent the city at the Arizona League of Cities and Towns. We had a very good but very difficult meeting here this past week on Friday. Have a lot going on there. I won't go into too many details, but there are changes on the horizon in a variety of ways, and it's a good thing, I think. But at the same time, difficult times call for difficult measures, and so these 25 mayors sitting around the table really spent several hours debating some of the challenging times ahead of us, and so we'll see how that goes. But nothing like your very first meeting as president to have some of the hardest issues the league's seen in a long time. So, and then from there, also had the opportunity to participate in the Relay for Life, just in the respect I had sick family members, so I wasn't able to participate all day, but was able to go and help open that. So again, many thanks to all those who participated. Also went to the rescheduling of the mud run and saw some folks there. I was really impressed with it being a second day, how packed it was. There were tons of people that showed up, and so I think it just goes to show the success of that event. And that's a great thing. So my last announcement on this at this time is that in this coming year, when the State Transportation Board changes over from their current president or chairman and the vice chairman takes over, the vice chairman is able to dictate and explain where they would like to see the upcoming meetings. And I'd like to point out that the city of Maricopa has been selected for the September 2019 meeting. It'll be right here in this chamber, and so that's an exciting thing to have here again. Also shows that our I think fourth time they've been here in 5 years or something to that effect. Some cities go forever without having it, so it's a real honor for us to be recognized and noticed. Plus we should be having a overpass that's near completion at that time, so I'm sure that had nothing to do with it. But in the meantime, thank you very much for being here, and we'll move through our agenda. At this time, that concludes the report from the mayor. We'll move on to the report from the city manager. I don't think you're on there, Rick. Mike's not on yet. Nothing? There it goes. Now you're live.
And to warm it up, I guess. For the first time since the corporation 15 years ago, the city is preparing to release a request for qualifications for experienced and qualified firms insurance brokerage and consultation services to provide broker of record services for the marketing and placement of the city's property and casualty coverage insurance programs, including but not limited to property, casualty, general liability, auto and workers' compensation insurance policies, and other insurance-related broker services as required by the city. Our goal is to seek enhanced services at reduced prices. Also, as mentioned in an email to you previously, the city of Salt Fork has now received a blanket permit from the Arizona Department of Transportation. This permit will enable city personnel, when it has been determined that a condition exists that presents a hazard or emergency situation, to expedite emergency repairs, regulate traffic for vehicular accidents or mishaps, and or close segments of the traffic corridor to ensure public safety without requiring ADOT's approval prior. Also, under the leadership of Chief Brady Leffler and his team, the city continues to negotiate terms by which ADOT will assist with the cost of the new fire administration building. And although the terms are not as of yet put to pen and paper, we have consistent commitment from ADOT that they will fund approximately 75% of the new facility as part of the property acquisition settlement. The city's manager's office is working with Southwest Gas Corporation to finalize a franchise agreement that will come forward for your consideration. This will be the first agreement between the city and Southwest Gas Corporation and will represent agreement as to how city public right-of-ways will be utilized for gas utility services and will set forth a franchise fee payable to the city for the use of city-owned right-of-ways. It is anticipated this agreement will come forward for city council review and potential adoption by the first of the year. And lastly, the executive team and other senior leaders and staff leaders met this last week in a strategic planning session in preparation for the production of departmental action plans designed to take the strategic plan and break it down into shorter, more actionable units. We also reviewed and discussed the simplification of our current budget process and improved CIP planning and plan presentation. It is anticipated that a draft of our departmental action plans will be presented to the City Council and public at the City Council Strategic Planning Conference, tentatively planned for mid to late January 2019. That concludes my report. Unless you have some questions.
Council questions? Thank you, City Manager Horst. We appreciate it. And just on the final note on that ADOT announcement that he just made, the reason that's so important is you may have all remembered the 12-hour ordeal in late August where everyone was stuck on the 347 forever and a day. That was because of an accident that happened right at Rancho El Dorado. Our folks had it cleaned up within 30 minutes to an hour, which would have restored the flow of traffic. But according to the rules of the game, we had to wait for ADOT personnel to come from the city of Phoenix to give it the all clear. They were detained and other things, and so that's what caused the lengthy 5, 6, 7, 8 hour backup. And so we had been trying to get these types of things accomplished for a long period of time. ADOT was unwilling to make that movement, but I think after that one, no one wanted the future negative press there, so they were able to grant us that first right of refusal, so to speak, to get things cleaned up. And so that's a big win for us, so we're excited about that. All right, that'll take us to the call to the public. At this time, I do have 2 speaker cards. I'll go to those first and then invite anybody else who comes up. At this time, the first one is Susan Cameron. Susan, come on up. Just remember, we give everyone about 3 minutes so that we have enough time for everybody, but at the same time, also know we're very interested in what you have to say, but the council doesn't typically answer or respond because these items aren't agendized as per law. So, thank you.
So it's this little, I'm on. Mayor Price, Vice Mayor Chapados, council members, and friends and neighbors of Maricopa. Your Maricopa Arts Council is proud to announce our 4th studio crawl for November 17th from 10 to 2 and Sunday, November 18th from 12 to 4 p.m. This year we have 9 artists and artisans from glass to on the table. For anybody that would like to join us for one of the human beings, they really are there. What a great guy he is. I also have a little everyone in the community.
And those are all the speakers.
Mayor Price, Vice Mayor Chapados, council members, Maricopians, and steamers. Thank you for the proclamation. In our excitement, I realized that we did not introduce some of the key players here. One of the council members asked me who are in the teal shirts, so I thought I'd ask Dr. Donna Jaliski to introduce them.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Mayor Price, Vice Mayor, council members, everyone here in Maricopa. I serve as a technology integration specialist specializing in STEM at the Maricopa Unified School District. And within this role, I am honored to serve as the district liaison for the CSO program. I've been involved in this program on many levels since its inception about 7 years ago. These students organically lead as advocates in STEM and STEAM within their school, local community, and even on a global level. But these students could not do what they do without the tremendous support from people such as yourselves and many others. Maricopa Action STEAM Foundation. If you are a CSO sponsor, advisor, please wave your hand. If you're a CSO family member, please wave. If you are with MUSD 20 in any capacity, please wave. Thank you very much. And now I introduce to you the 2018-19 MUSD 20 CSOs who will provide a very special invitation, STEAM passport to each of you. CSO Freya, CSO Abby, CSO Zaria.
Thank you very much. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else at this time?
My name is Jim Irving, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. I'm here representing the school district. I am the volunteer coordinator, and one of my many duties is to work with a lot of people in the community. The school district would like to invite all of you on Friday at 8 o'clock to the school district. The district is just so proud to be able to have a breakfast for our wonderful veterans. Even though if you're not a veteran, we'd love to have you come. I just think it means so much to our veterans to see all of us out there and just, again, thanking for the wonderful things they do. So on behalf of our superintendent, if you have some time, stop by the district office. We'd love to have you just come out and honor our wonderful, wonderful, wonderful veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Anyone else? All right, seeing no one, we'll go ahead and close the call to the public at this time and move on to item 7, which is the minutes. Council, can I have a motion to approve items 7.1 and 7.2, please?
So move.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. That takes us to the consent agenda. We have one item, item 8.1. Can I have a motion to approve, please? Have a motion. Is there a second? Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And that'll take us to item 9. If you haven't noticed, this is the new agenda format with public hearings and regular agenda items together. I'm so used to seeing consent items as under item 9, but this is our regular agenda. So item 9.1, the Mayor and City Council shall hear a presentation about changes to the business license process, which is to be replaced with the business registry program. This is for discussion only. Denise?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Vice Mayor and members of the council. If most of you were present at the State of the City, you noticed that Mayor Price did an update on some internal changes, and one of the announcements was the business registry program, and the crowd went wild. They really did. It was a welcome change. So what I'll do today is walk through the business registry program and what this change will look like, the benefit to the businesses, and how we intend to roll it out. So the goal is to, make conducting business in the city of Maricopa as easy and simple as possible. So the businesses and the entrepreneurs in the community drive innovation, and they're no different than any other municipality, and we want to ensure that their experience here is a positive experience. So the history behind business licenses is that we had a process that captured a ton of data. We captured TPT information, and that's simply because we needed a way to capture revenue that belonged to the city. But in 2017, the Department of Revenue started doing this on behalf of Arizona cities. So our process now became redundant and unnecessary. So we now aggregate data from the state and are able to source information. We understand which businesses are established in Maricopa and the revenue streams from there as well. So our goal is to simplify the entire process. Has anyone ever received a business license in the city? It's very deceiving, but it's multiple pages with multiple attachments, and it could be a little bit frustrating for individuals. So the purpose is, in order for us to make it as simple as possible and capture key information for the city. So the business registration policy is designed to collect demographic information on the growing businesses in the community and provide data to the Economic Development Department, essentially. I mean, it's for the whole city, but the ED department will be using this for business retention and expansion, communicating with the local businesses, providing information and resources to them, and really making it, again, a two-way stream of communication. So the business license requirement will be eliminated at the end of this year, and the business registry program will be enacted January 1. These are the fields that we will be collecting. So the name, is this a new or existing business? Is this a veteran-owned business or a nonprofit? The name of the organization, phone number, email address. These are all things that we want to have so that we can communicate with them. So again, very simple, not overly complicated. And this is just a quick cheat sheet, who should register their business. And it's any activity, business or trade, occupation, or service that's intended to provide a profit or personal gain. So whether the organization is veteran-owned or a nonprofit, if there's an organization that is conducting business for profit, they should register their business. So on the right-hand side, you'll notice that if you're conducting a yard sale, no. A special event, no. There's still another separate permit that we are evaluating. More information to come on that. Out-of-town businesses are also not required to register their business. So I alluded to the process being extremely simplified. I believe there was 11 different fields that we're collecting. It's also a reduced fee. Currently it's $50, and we are reducing that down to $10. VA-owned and nonprofits will continue to be exempt from the fee. And this will speed up the process for businesses, and they will no longer have revenue projections. It does not waive compliance with any other applicable code provision related to zoning, fire, taxation, food handling. So all those other permits that are still required to conduct a business, those still remain. We just are not required to collect. their zone. Our ultimate goal, again, is to have enhanced communication with the businesses so that they know what is available to them. So they will be provided with a welcome letter, with resource information, who's who, how do they get more information, access to our business retention and expansion program, our survey, site selection services. We have a partnership with the SBDC today, so access to the business education series. And on here it says an annual business directory that will be updated monthly, so it'll be an updated business directory that will be sourced by business category. So, one of the biggest things that we heard from the local businesses is marketing, marketing, marketing. How can people find out about me? This is going to be a great way. If we know about you, we can be a great tool to get your information out to the public, because this is going to be accessible to everyone. So here is the timeline. We've been working with our systems that we have, which is SmartGov and Microsoft Dynamics, to build this new application and to integrate it into the Economic Development Department's database, which is Microsoft Dynamics. We have been testing it throughout the month of November. We're going to be creating a training, a cheat sheet. These are the 3 simple steps to follow to apply for to register your business. We'll publish a press release, and then it'll launch in January, and we'll continue to do business registration training so that it's ongoing. And that's what we have so far. Any questions?
Council questions? Yes, we'll start with Councilwoman Gussie and then over to Councilmember Smith.
I had 2 questions. How are you going to verify veteran-owned businesses? Is there like a verification? How do you verify that they are veteran-owned?
So it's just, go ahead.
You said federally owned?
Oh,
Veteran.
We're going to take them at their word until proven otherwise.
All right.
Veterans don't usually lie.
No. And my second question is, will you provide this information in Spanish?
The business registration program?
Yes.
We can.
Yeah, there's no reason we can't. That's a good suggestion.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, Councilmember Smith.
Denise, the $10 charge, is that a one-time or an annual?
It would be annual.
All right, thank you.
Can you go?
And do you have to you probably have to be registered every year in order to be
Correct.
included in the directory. Thank you.
Councilmember Manfredi?
Can you go back to the businesses that have to pay, don't have to pay for a second? I think this is like page 1.
Well, it wasn't a,
So it says, any activity, business, trade, occupation, service, or pursuit intended to provide a profit or personal gain. So multi-level people, what is that? Like Etsy, not Etsy, that's like online stuff. I don't know, man. Herbalife and stuff like that, they all have to do it.
sure, yeah.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Does that apply? I'm sorry, excuse me.
Go ahead.
Does that apply to licensed realtors in the city?
Realtors are exempt under, I think, state law, isn't it?
There's some from a business license.
Dennis? Realtors are exempt from business licensing, aren't they? Realtors. Real estate agents. I think they're licensed to the state and not required, but we'll double check that for you.
Because this is just, it's not a license, this is just,
Right, this is a voluntary program.
Yeah, this is a registry, and I certainly think the agents would be benefited by getting their information out
Yes.
there.
pretty dumb not to
And
be for
the
10
reason
bucks.
it's annual is so we can update the data. And I wanted to indicate very quickly that they'll have a simple link to go to. They don't have to go to a portal. They don't have to have a password or set up an account. They just go directly to the link, do it, print out their certificate, and they're done.
Right, because yes, right here, the first one is, it says the words any activity, business, trade, occupation, service, or pursuit intended to provide a profit or personal gain. So real estate agents, I mean, anybody.
We probably need to define that a little bit better because there will be some exceptions, and we'll further define that.
Councilmember Wade.
On the annual requirement to renew, what is that going to be based on, that date?
They will receive an annual notification towards towards the end of the year to remind them to renew. But understand that they don't have to do this. We think there's enough benefit for them to do this. That's what we're trying to do. It helps us get data as we try to reach out to future economic development opportunities. But I think specifically to maybe the question that Councilwoman Freddie was getting to, if someone has a business where they go to teach piano lessons to someone's home, they don't necessarily have to do that. But we try to keep the cost down just to cover any admin cost, but talk about a networking opportunity to have this citywide opportunity to see what businesses and skill sets are out there, I think is beneficial.
Yeah.
No, my question more so is, this will be an annual requirement to renew?
Will be annual
So
requirements.
will it be based on when an individual starts, or will it be prorated for a period of time?
It would be based on their registration anniversary. So if you
Okay.
registered March
It's
3rd,
it's not for the calendar year, it's for a year whenever they start. If they start in April, it goes to April. If they start in May, it goes to May.
Right, and
And that saves us on workload, so we don't have to do it all at one time.
Right.
Sorry.
Councilmember Freddie.
Sorry, I was just jumping in
Go
without
ahead.
talking.
Go ahead.
And just to clarify, this is, nobody has to.
no one
Right?
has
It's
to do
voluntary. Nobody has to actually register.
Other than those specialty license
Right.
requirements for alcohol sales, ammunition, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, because we want them. But like, if you own an Etsy, you don't have to. You could, not Etsy, that's the online stuff. But if you own Herbalife and you do that, or whatever those multi-level ones are, you don't have to, but you can.
Vice Mayor.
Denise, will you require 501 proof for nonprofits, or again, is that going to be an honor system?
That's also going to be on the honor system.
Okay. And then one of the things that's kind of been mentioned, but I think it's important to mention again, is that we get a lot of public records requests from people that are either seeking a business as a consumer or have questions about business. So I would encourage everybody to register just for that networking opportunity. Again, with the speed networking reception that we just did, if you've got at the push of a button a list of who's available in your community, I think that speaks volumes for the economy and how we can support one another here. The shop local is something we do every year. Why not make it 365?
Absolutely. One of the things that we haven't completely built out is the marketing behind it. And as we have met and started talking, what is the compelling reason? Why would somebody register? Because it is only $10 and it's not required. But we truly believe that through the benefits and the resources available and the fact that the number one feedback that we receive from the small business is marketing, what a great way. I mean, if you're just going to pay $10 to be marketed, there you go, right? And this is something that we're going to update on a regular basis. And as the city website is updated in the near future, it'll be easier to find and easier to locate. So.
One of the benefits was the business education programs, but it doesn't mean it's things we do. If the SBA or the college or some other entity conducts business-oriented seminars, this becomes a format by which we can get the word out to our young business owners. And I think it sends a message that we are small business friendly and encouraging people to work collectively, and we're streamlining it, I think, quite significantly.
Absolutely. Councilmember Wade.
Wow, I'm not trying to be a bad guy here, but I do have some concerns about the honor system based on veterans and 501c3. What if someone indicates that they are a 501c3 and actually is not and is operating as such? Does the city have any liability because we have identified them we've allowed them to identify themselves as a 501c3 and they have not? And as far as veterans are concerned, we all carry ID cards. So it's very easy to determine whether or not I'm a veteran or not.
Well, because it's voluntary, and because it's, $10 fee, but there is no liability. I'll let the dentist speak to that, but there's no liability to the city if someone makes a false claim because we're not endorsing it or promoting it. Would you agree?
So we would not be endorsing or confirming.
It would just require them, if we did that, they'd have to print out their 401c3 certificate and mail it in to us, and just adds more step and confusion to the process. And frankly, if they're not honest, it'll catch up to them sooner or later.
Okay, well, thank you.
Remember, it's going to say on there, that registry, if they're nonprofit or veteran, and thousands of eyes are going to see that, and someone's going to know and report it.
And just to clarify here, though, I mean, those businesses that are the specialty business that were being discussed earlier, while most of this program is voluntary, that is still mandatory.
That's mandatory. They'll go through licensing, additional fees, and additional inspections.
Okay. Councilman Manfredi?
I just mentioned to Julia here, it's like, this is Maricopa. If somebody's lying about 501c3 or veteran, within
Everybody's
a day.
gonna know.
Within a day, we'll know.
Everybody will know. Well, that's good self-regulation, right? So I think at the end of the day, you know, one of the things I would simply request of this is that I'm very excited for this, obviously. I think the business community is excited for this. I think we will have some speed bumps and little challenges as we roll anything new out. But one of the things I would suggest is that we come back in 6 months or a year and we analyze what we did right, what we did wrong. I think we should also look at, you know, some feedback from the businesses on, you know, are we truly getting the bang for the buck that we think that we anticipated in getting? And I mean, clearly it's about as free as it gets, right? But I mean, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong to make sure that you know, we are getting those more voluntary people. And I think that that's a good thing for us to go back and take a recollection on ourselves and say, okay, what can we do to either further enhance this? You know, is there something that we left out and didn't think about so that we can make this even better, so that even more people want to voluntarily join it?
I think that's very appropriate and very wise. I would ask we give it a year to do that.
Sure.
I also want to mention we're going to be reaching out to various groups like the Chamber, the Hispanic Chamber, the networking groups, any of those business-oriented groups to help us educate them first and let them help us educate their public.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay. This was for discussion only. I think we have a good consensus here to roll forward with this, and I think we're very excited to see it. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We'll have a formal text amendment come back to you later.
Thank you. That takes us to item 9.2. The Mayor and City Council shall discuss, possibly take action on adopting a revenue and pricing policy for use in establishing pricing for programs, activities, and reservable space offered by the Community Services Department. As you know, Nathan is going to present this to us, but as you know that this has been in the works for quite some time, and Nathan, poor Nathan, he was 2 weeks into his job. He was handed a BFO meeting with the Budget, Finance, and Operations Committee and a whole bunch of numbers. And so we appreciate the time you've taken on this. The BFO did receive a presentation on this, and so now we're here to talk to the full council. Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. Also need to give a shout out to Fred Gray for who put a lot of this together as part of his interim role here with the city. So anything that's good in it is from him, and whatever's bad, I'll try to fix, and that's my fault. Okay, so the goal of this policy is to establish guidelines and principles for how we price our programs and services in community services. How we do that is by, I just read that, by setting parameters, and as you can see on page 6 in the policy, you can see a matrix that kind of helps define what are the different categories and levels of services that we provide. It's not as simple. A good way to define it is a service is something that we would typically subsidize. A program would be something we would typically look to recover. And so we'll go through those steps really quickly. But it's designed to assist staff in pricing and to determine who benefits, the type of service that it is, the funding source that it comes from, and what type of cost recovery will we seek. So in our service level 1, as you can see, who benefits the entire community. Type of service is a public service. It's tax supported and typically no cost recovery. That's basic access to parks, pools. A little bit with pools, there'll be some recovery. Playgrounds, turf areas for practices and things like that. Picnic areas, dog parks, libraries, and trails, as you can see. So those are our basic. If I was the only person that worked for our city in Parks and Rec and we had outsourced everything, those would be the services we could provide without having staff to program it. In level 2, you talk about things that are primarily for the public, but also for the individual. An example of these things, as you can see there, some pool use, it's only $2. It costs a lot more money than we can make doing $2 a person in the pool. So there is going to be some subsidies from our tax base to help fund that. Also, typically in cities' youth and senior programs, as well as city-run events, are opportunities that are typically supported through taxes. In service level 3, it's primarily the individual, but also the public. So A lot of our enrichment classes will fall into this, up to 100%. Typically, our enrichment classes are over. Field and park rentals typically will cover the direct costs, whether it's lighting or lining the fields, things like that. But there's also some ability to help support the community through that. But it's typically, it's kind of that pay-to-play category. You're going to need to put some skin in the game outside of your normal taxes. And service level 4 is typically set up for the private functions, whether it's the rental of Copper Sky for an event, or a class that's very specialized, an art class, a canvas painting, things like that, where we're going to need to recover all of the costs there, as it's not serving a large population in Maricopa. Okay, so some of the key changes is that you may have seen in the prior presentations. We're really looking to add value to the Copper Sky membership. Obviously, Copper Sky is a big piece of our budget, and we need to add value to bring that membership in, which is going to be the piece that helps us become more sustainable as an operation at Copper Sky. And how we've done that is by making, as you look in the definitions, which is a good part of the front part of the document is definitions, we've added a group called members. And those members have opportunities to participate in our sports programs, our enrichment classes, and things like that at a discounted rate in recognition of their annual and ongoing support of community services programs through their Copper Sky membership. What we're going to try to do a better job of in the future is offering more activity north of the highway for folks who want to participate in a class. If we can get a school set up where we can offer a fitness class or a program, we're going to do that as well to try to give opportunity to do that north of the tracks there. It also, we're looking at including things like free parking passes to city events so that folks will have that. They can get right in. There'll be a benefit there. Free guest passes to use a Copper Sky. We hadn't previously done that. Typically, if you're a member at a gym, you have an opportunity to bring a friend a certain amount of time, so we're going to add that in as well. Discounts on merchandises, and then, of course, there'll be significant changes on annual. If you commit to an annual membership, you'll save significantly over going with a punch pass, a day pass, or even the 6-month option. Another big change is we look to try to find that balance of being sustainable and recovering cost, along with maintaining accessibility for all of our members or all of our citizens at Copper Sky. Is we've added the discount and the scholarship program to memberships at Copper Sky. It's a really no-lose situation for us. There's still a significant amount of the direct cost recovery. The most the discount would be 70%, and that would definitely cover the cost of each member that would come in. So the more access we can provide, the same as any private fitness center or any other facility like it, the more access you can provide, as long as you're getting that basic cost recovery, there's really no loss. So that is something that's new. It should open the doors for people to participate in our programs at Copper Sky in the facility, but then also in other programs throughout the city with the discount that comes with being a Copper Sky member in sports and other areas. Also, what you'll see if you look at the fee schedule is that really what we're trying to create is parameters for our fees. Some of the things are fluid, whether it's a supply fee. Obviously, you've seen the increase in minimum wage over the last few years. We haven't really addressed that. So some of this is to try to create parameters so that we can operate on an ongoing basis in real time to make appropriate adjustments to our fees. There's also a parameter in there, though, that allows us to not exceed a certain amount of rise in prices within a year, which is either $5 for any program that's under $100 or 5% for programs that are over $100 within a calendar year. Some important notes: the fee schedule is posted on the city's website for public review for 60 days. It has the actual breakdown in pricing, which is what we'll present in January 15th at the council meeting to get approval to move forward with whatever price changes there are for specific programs and services offered. Another piece that you're going to want to pay attention to is we've changed some of the percentages in that fee schedule. The thought process there is we wanted to bring seniors and veterans on an even playing field. So that was moved to 10%. The veterans were currently at 10%. Seniors were at 25%. Thought process there is that we currently have as we expand this scholarship program, we have an opportunity for seniors now to save 30% if they're at that level of income that dictates they would receive a scholarship. So that's the thought process there, but that is a significant change that I want to make sure that everybody's aware of. With the senior programs that we have for access with Silver and Fit and Optum, about 60 to 75% of our members, depending on the time of year, use those programs to access our facility versus a paid membership through Copper Sky. So we recover the revenue that way rather than a paid membership. All right, is there any questions?
Questions, council? Yes, Councilmember Smith.
Hi, Nathan.
Hey.
So Nathan and I talked earlier today, and it just dawned on me, we're actually not taking action on the fee schedule tonight, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, only on the policy.
That's right. But included in that policy, to our earlier conversation, is that
Is the schedule,
that change to 10%.
And so I want to bring to light, and I disagree with your numbers, and it could be my math or the way I look at it, but we currently offered seniors a 40% discount. As an example, a normal one person is $338, and seniors get a one person for $200. And I did the math, I think it's 40, it's like a little under 40%. For a couple, it's $540 normally, and for a senior couple, it's $318. So I'm concerned, highly concerned about dropping it all the way down to 10% from 40%. I think that's going to be a significant disappointment for the seniors. And Nathan and I talked, and we talked about the ability for a senior to acquire the scholarship, and for the number of seniors that we have as members who are currently counting on this discount, I don't know that we have enough money in our scholarship program to offer them a 70% discount, but maybe you scale that as well. Anyway, I wanted to bring up the concern that I'm really, I think our seniors are going to find it very upsetting to go from 40% down to 10%.
Okay, if just to give some numbers as far as our membership base, I had the staff check today, and
okay.
Out of our seniors, we have about 1,800 senior members. 1,400 roughly, 1,394 access the center through a program which will senior Silver and Fit, Silver Sneakers, and other programs like that allow them to access at no cost to them or reimbursed through that program. So the number that actually pay a full membership is 420. 420 active memberships that pay our rate, and that fee is just set up. The point of this was to take out a bunch of levels of fees and rather operate under a percentage. So my suggestion would be if we want to go back to the percentage we were at, that we change that percentage rather than add a fee for seniors specifically. But obviously I'll leave that to your direction. But that was
I'm pleased to find out that out of the, what did you say, 1,800, that 1,400 are using Silver Sneakers. That's amazing, because I mentioned to Nathan today, out of all the seniors that I know, none of them have Silver Sneakers on their insurance, and they're disappointed by that. But the numbers in terms of those who are members of Copper Sky seem significantly different than what my circle of senior friends is.
And there's a lot of and it may be an education process that we can provide to the other 420 who maybe don't need it. We can provide that education to say that there are several programs, not just Silver Sneakers.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that based on the fact that we're not voting on the fee schedule tonight, that we're waiting, we have a 60-day feedback period or review period. Maybe the answer is that we wait to see what feedback we get from seniors. And then make a decision at the point at which because at that point we can change the fee schedule back to what it was or somewhere in between if we're finding that the feedback is finding it intolerable or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I think this 60 days allows us to do that.
Okay.
Well, and perhaps when you come back to us in January, then there are 2 or 3 options to that.
Yeah, that would be great.
So original, what's been proposed, and something in the middle.
Yeah.
Something to that effect.
That would be great. Okay. That would be great. Okay, thank you, Nathan. Thank you for doing that research too, because I think that helps as well. Thanks.
Councilmember Gussie.
Do you happen to have a number of how many veterans are actually taking advantage of the discount?
I do not, but I can get that for you.
Okay. And my second question is, How much input did you receive from the committee, the PRL committee?
This was vetted through PRL prior to my arrival, and then it was just the only parts that I really added are the pieces that we add to membership as part of scholarship, and things of that nature, the things that I kind of highlighted tonight. The rest of this had been vetted through PRL back in April.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Brown.
Nathan, excellent presentation. Councilmember Smith pretty much stole one of my questions I was going to ask relative to seniors. Another bullet that you had here was the discounting of merchandising. What did you have in mind there as far as percentage?
It would just be the relative percentage. Our members typically pay 25% less. That'll be in, I believe it's in page, no, I can find it, but it's in this document where it talks about what members typically receive as a discount, which is 25%.
Merchandising?
Yes.
25%?
And it's small items, tumbler cups, coffee cups, T-shirts, things like that we sell at the center.
Thank you.
Council, other questions on this at this time? Nope. Okay. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Motion and a second to accept this at this time. Seeing no other discussion on this, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Nathan. We'll see you back in a few months. And then item 9.3, the Mayor and City Council shall discuss possible action on canceling the November 20th, 2018 City Council regular meeting. City Manager, I think the reason for this is a variety of things, but just topics at hand and what are ready to go on the agenda, as well as some absences.
A number of absences by council and staff, a weak agenda poised for that particular meeting, the holiday weekend, all of the above. We think it's in the best interest, and we want to notify others in advance so we can prepare accordingly.
Okay. That would mean our next meeting is in the December 4th meeting, I believe it is. At which
we'll
point,
have both meetings in December.
Yeah. At which point we'll also do the swearing in. So this is council member or Vice Mayor Chapados's final full meeting. And so, Vice Mayor, will you give us a motion on this?
Mayor, I'd like to move to cancel the second meeting in November.
Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. That concludes our meeting for this evening. Thank you very much. Go home and watch your election results and stay up late tonight. So we appreciate it. Motion to dismiss at this time. Is there a second? Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.